I feel just like Vin Diesel. It's all about family, Tom.
Hello everybody, and welcome to my ranked video of the Fast and Furious films. So, literally, over the past 3 days, I binge watched all, 10 of these films? 9 in anticipation of the new 9th one that just came out. And then I went to theaters and watched that one. The Fast and Furious films are a series of films that I have never seen, and I literally knew nothing about. Like, literally nothing. I didn't even know cops were involved in these movies until I watched them. And with review-ish, how I do them is I, watch a series of movies, and instead of giving them scores, like 8 out of 10, whatever, I don't really like doing that. So, as I go along, I give them rankings. So, watching the first film, that's number 1. But then if the second film's better, then the second film goes at number 1. It's hard to explain. Just watch the review-ishes, and that'll make more sense. It all leads up to, once I do a finish a review-ish series, I do a ranked video, like this one. This is my 5th ranked video that I'm doing, so go also check those out. There's a whole playlist. But yeah, the Fast and Furious films are a series of films that a lot of them feel kind of samey. And as you may know from watching other ranked videos, I'm very bad at articulating my thoughts of why I think one film is better than another. All of that is just to say, if I come off as kind of like nonsensical, that's because I am. But the Fast and Furious series is a series that I really do enjoy, and at the end of the ranking, I'm going to talk about the series as a whole and what I'd like to see for the ending of the series, which is coming sooner than later. So, with all that being said, let's just jump into it, baby. I suck at transitions. Oh, and by the way, I'm using footage from the trailer so I don't get copyright strike. Okay, bye. I love you. Fast and Furious, released in 2009, is the 4th entry, and this is going to be super short because this movie was basically just boring. The only thing I could think of while watching this film was, wow, I'm bored. Like, when is this going to be over? There's not a whole lot I remember about this film, and that just goes to show how boring it was. The concept is kind of interesting. It takes more of a murder mystery plot. It follows Dom and Brian trying to figure out who murdered Letty, because at the beginning of the film she was murdered, and yeah, we basically just follow them. This is more of a sequel to the first film than the second one was. It's reintroducing this cast that we will get to know better later on, but the cast from the original. It was just super boring. I don't know how else to describe it. The murder mystery angle could have been interesting, but they just kind of dropped the ball. They're kind of they're trying to basically reintroduce you to these characters, and it's like, we've already seen these guys work together. This was kind of a soft reboot. Nothing's too crazy yet, but that's where the name is, because they're trying to reboot it a bit. But it wasn't a fun movie. But the problem is it's super important to watch for the storyline. So I would say, if you're not a Fast and Furious fan, don't worry about it, but you kind of do. But yeah, no, it's at the bottom of the list because it's boring, forgettable, and, not awful. Like I said, just boring. I don't know how many times I'm going to say boring. Let's move on. The Fast and the Furious, released in 2001. This was the one that started it off. And for most long-running series, say MCU, Star Wars, or The Fast and Furious, the beginning stuff is always where it's weird, because they have to find their footing, like always. This isn't a bad mood. This isn't a bad movie. It's perfectly watchable. It's perfectly enjoyable, even. It's just classic. The plot follows Brian O'Connor. He's an undercover cop, and he has to figure out why or who is stealing, I think, DVDs or DVD players or something from trucks. It's a bunch of street racers. So then he gets into the world of street racing. That's a super interesting concept, super unique for the time. It paved the way for a crazy series. Alone, it's a fun... This movie gives off real background vibes, like background of a house party or something vibes, Like, it's on in the back and nobody's really watching it, but it's there. That's the best way I can describe this. It's enjoyable to watch. To get yourself into the Fast and Furious series, I don't think this would be the perfect one for you to watch. For the earlier stuff, this is, perfect. It's super, I gotta stop saying that. It's enjoyable. The characters are kind of bland, honestly. Brian just is a blank slate. Not boring, just kind of blank. Like I said, it's obviously finding its footing, and it had to get started somehow. Had to somehow get the ball moving. I don't really have a lot to say about it because it's just kind of an average movie, a solid 5 out of 10, kind of deal. Yeah. Let's I gotta find a better transition than let's move on. Tokyo Drift, released in 2003, I think? I could be wrong. The Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift follows Sean as he's moved to Japan because he's a little delinquent. And then he gets caught in the world of street racing, so then he has to learn to drift. This was fun. This movie, more than any other movie, is just standalone. Like, literally, these characters only come back in the 9th film, and you don't have to know their background to, know who they are. Or to even get context for that. It's completely on its own. It's about Sean is kind of he's less of a blank slate than Brian in the first film, but he's just kind of lifeless. Like, he doesn't feel like a character. He just feels like a script being read aloud. That could be more the actor than the actual script. But it's a fun movie to watch on its own. The colors are nice. The Tokyo setting is unique for the series. The drifting mechanic was something new, and it's still something unique, kinda, for the series. It's a standalone thing, so you don't technically have to watch it. It does have Han's death in it, which is kind of big, but, that's also brought up on later films, so it's something spectacular. I have it above the Fast and the Furious just because the drifting aspect was cooler. And I was super confused in the Fast and Furious with what was going on with the plot. They seemed to always be into new things, but in this film, it was very straightforward. Beat the bad guy. That's literally it. That was the plot. Beat the bad guy. Yeah. There's not much to say on these films. Once again, this would probably be just another 5 out of 10. I already explained why I'd put it over the Fast and Furious, so let's move on to number 7. I think we're on number 7.
The Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift.
But you don't have to ever quit. Keep going and taking the more, since it's almost over now.
The Fate of the Furious. This is the 8th film, and they took an interesting concept with this one. So this is the first one to not have Paul Walker returning for, because of his passing. And because of that, they had the daunting task of what did they do? Because Dom and Brian's relationship was the center of... It wasn't one character is the main character. It's their relationship was the main character. That makes sense. Their brotherhood. Brothers, kind of deal. So the plot of this is that Brian is that Dom's kid ends up getting, kidnapped by this big bad woman. And he then is basically the bad guy of the film. He's then working for the bad guys, and now the family has to fight Dom. This is a super fun, interesting concept, but I think it should have been either saved for the finale, the part 1 of the finale, and then part 2 be them working together, or just not used at all, because it's so weird to go from them working together, and then we should have seen where they were going to go with it next. I know it's super weird to talk about, but to have the first film without Paul Walker be, Dom's not the leader of the team. Everybody else doesn't really fill in the leader role. The Rock, they basically make The Rock the leader. And it's just such a shift in dynamics, which is good for like I said, a part 1 of a finale, but right after one of the main leads is, not able to come back, it's just weird. That and the villain really sucks. Her performance, most times I'd be oh, it's not something that would ruin the film, but it does. Her performance ruins the movie. She always has her lips puckered and her eyes wide open, and she's constantly whispering to Dom. It's so annoying. It's so bad. The finale really, the movie as a whole is really not good. There was a new director on this one. The script is typical action movie script. Like when they're when they're hacking in, they're all, oh, I'm hacking in. Oh, this girl is good. Oh, she's good, but I'm better. Kind of talking. Whoa, did you guys see that? Kind of, that kind of action movie talk. The finale really makes up for it. The finale is phenomenal, honestly. It's just because how crazy it is and how fun it is to watch. So that's why it's not lower down, because without the finale, it probably like, the finale wasn't that good. It probably would have been under the Fast and the Furious, the first one, but for now, that's where it is. So on to number 6.
We're gonna need a bigger truck.
At number 6 is Fast and Furious 6. No, I did not do that on purpose. I'm actually just not realizing I did that. Fast and Furious 6 follows the team where they gotta get this God's Eye thing. And they're basically taking on they kind of set up a parallel version of themselves. A different family, what? And they kind of do that. They don't really run all the way with it, which would have been super cool. Basically, them taking on themselves. Super interesting concept, done a lot before, but, Letty's back, and she's a bad guy, and that... Amnesia? Really? Okay, Fast and Furious, you can have your cake, and I'll let you eat it, too. Dom in this film, they try to make him a lot more sympathetic, and the problem, I don't know if it's just Vin Diesel or the direction, but his voice just can't... it just can't do a sentimental scene. Hey, we're family. I love you, Letty. It just doesn't work. The set pieces are what put this above stuff like The Fate of the Furious and all their other films. It's so much cooler to watch. The final plane scene was super fun. The Rock being now part of the family, the crew, that was super fun. But yeah, the whole God's Eye thing is a crazy, batshit insane idea, but it kind of works. I guess it works. It just gives the team to do. Like I said, the set pieces are what make it. The jump across the bridge, the tank, the jumping from car to car, and all that one scene. The whole plane scene was super fun to watch. Like I said, this one probably takes the cake from just the overall coolest set pieces, continuously throughout the whole movie. So that's what put it above the other ones. On to number 5. At the number 5 spot is Too Fast, Too Furious. For the longest time, this was at the top of my list, and this is a total guilty pleasure for mine. I love Roman in this role. He's a lot different in this movie than he is in all the other movies. In all the other movies, he's just kind of the comedic, comedic dumb guy. But in this one, he's I don't know, I don't want to say he's a gangster type, but he's a real criminal type. And he doesn't care about the job that he's doing, but at the same time he does. And he's just chaotic the whole time. It's super fun. It plays off of the straight man Brian really well. This is where Brian kind of came into his own. The plot follows the Too Fast and Too Furious, basically going into a drug thing, and having to be drivers for them. And, chaos ensues, The set pieces, like I said, another good thing about this, they mixed the racing with the action driving really well, if that makes any sense. The boat scene was just that first ever really dumb scene that we got, back when the movies try to, this doesn't feel like a sequel. It almost feels more like an anthology kind of deal to the first Fast and Furious film, if that makes any sense. Super entertaining throughout. It probably, out of all of the movies, out of all the older movies, had me engaged the most. I was a little confused throughout the movie, trying to understand what was going on, but when you see the whole film, you realize it's pretty straightforward. The villain, bad guy, was nothing special. But like I said, it's really the chemistry between Roman and Brian that really bring this together. I wish they would have kept that going in the later films, because it was so good watching them work off of each other, but sadly not. This is a totally guilty pleasure of mine. The next films are some that I either just respect more, or just, after watching, I had a better time watching. This one I had a fun time watching throughout the whole thing, and the other ones, not to say I didn't, but the other ones just not as much, but I liked them more as a film at the end of the day, if that makes any sense. Number 4, the most recent film on the list, F9, The Fast Saga, coming out not that long ago. It's just a couple of weeks ago, actually. F9, they go to space. They go to frickin' space. Oh, I love it. We're going to look back on this and be like, whatever F10 or Fast and Furious 10 holds and be like, of course they went to space, like, duh, But anyways, this movie was actually super interesting. It follows the team having to, they're basically following this orb thing. They have to get this 2 pieces of an orb. But now there's a new bad in town. New family. John Cena. Whatever. Dom's brother is in the mix now. And with him being there, he's actually really not there. That's probably one of the biggest flaws of this film, is that John Cena's not in it as much. I think John Cena's, flashback counterpart is in it as more. That's a big thing about this, is it's really a Dom movie. All the other movies, after Paul Rudd, leaving, I say leaving like he left, but you know what I mean. After Paul Rudd not being there anymore, of course they turned into Dom's movies, but this one felt like it more than ever, felt like it way more than ever, because we're getting full-on flashbacks, like a lot of flashbacks to Dom's like childhood, his early years, more backstory on that, and I don't think we've ever gotten flashbacks, like in this kind of way, like, yeah, stuff to previous films and all, but never stuff like this impactful. Other than that, it was super fun. The whole magnet thing was really interesting. The thing that keeps it under the rest, though, is that when Han shows up, a lot of stupid stuff starts happening. They tried to explain Han's death, which I still don't get. It was so dumb. And there's other stuff that I can't exactly pinpoint or remember, but I just remember it being like, oh, this is dumb. Like, this is not making sense where they're going with it. It's dumb, and that's what holds it back, honestly. Super entertaining film. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. It's really good, trust me. Just because it's not number 1 doesn't mean it's not fantastic. It's a really good film.
Hey guys.
Number 3 goes to Number 3 goes to Furious 7, Paul Walker's last film. This should honestly be number 1 just for that ending scene alone. Like, I never got the hype for it when, I didn't watch Fast and Furious, but now I've seen all the movies, and Jesus Christ, I cannot listen to that song ever again. But other than that, it was a good film for Paul Walker to go out on. A lot of the scenes were apparently recorded or filmed with his brother and CGI'd over. None of them I noticed. I noticed none of them, except for the final scene. The final scene does look very rough. Like, very rough. Like, it's so obvious, and that still doesn't take away from the emotional aspect of it. But anyways, this follows the team. This is basically a spy-like film. A spy type of film, The team is all suiting up, getting all fancy, taking down organizations or whatever. I don't know. It's crazy. It's fun. Everybody works well off of each other in this film. The building jumping was, not as cool as some of the other stunts. Heck, I'd barely put it over the boat jump from the second movie, but it was still entertaining enough. I'm totally repeating myself with a lot of these films, but this is it was a really fun one to watch, It was a really, sad one to watch, as, of course, it's Furious 7, man. Yeah.
I don't have friends. I got family.
At the number 2 spot, here we go. Fast 5 is my favorite main Fast and Furious film, mainly for this. I feel like this is the film that you think of when you think modern Fast and Furious, right? You got the crew coming together, technically for the first time, they're like coming together like this. You got the crew all coming together, and they're all on a mission. What's the mission? Rob a bank. You know, that's really it. They just got to rob the bank. And I have so much respect for that ending scene where they actually filmed it going through the streets, you know? So much respect for that. But other than just the spectacle of it, I don't know, I really like these stuff like the Avengers movies and stuff like that, where they're coming together and they're teaming up. You know, like, hey, we got a job to do. Let's do it together. So, it's a family, you know? That sounds so dumb, but just the aspect of it is super interesting. All the characters work really well off of each other. You know, I keep wanting to say the real names. Paul and Vin Diesel work just really well as the leads. They bring in Rock as the villain, Dwayne The Rock Johnson. I'm always gonna call him The Rock. They bring in Dwayne Johnson as the villain. And it's kind of interesting how he doesn't play a villain. He's the bad guy to them, but you know, he's not a villain, and that makes his character super interesting. And obviously they wanted to keep his character, and they really did a good job with that, making him, you know, not relatable, but be able to come back, you know, making him a good guy in the end. He's never a bad guy. He didn't like turn or do anything evil. Like, it's not about the police anymore. It's about killing the family or whatever. I don't know. It's a super amazing movie. And it's a good jump-in point. Like, you could watch this film and not know any of them. So if you've never seen any Fast and Furious film, watch Fast 5. It is so good. I could watch the ending. And it's not just, oh, the ending takes the cake over everything else, you know. The rest of the film is super good. The whole planning, them all planning how they're gonna, you know, rob this bank, things going wrong, and them having to work on the fly. It's super good. Super good. Anyways, let's get on to number 1, which shocked me. Coming out in 2019, the first ever spin-off film, Hobbs Shaw, is not a Fast and Furious film. Not at all. If you've never seen a Fast and Furious film, you can watch this one, no problem. Although if you've never seen a Fast and Furious film, you probably haven't made it this long into the video. But it's not a Fast and Furious film at all. They don't focus on the cars. It's just a regular action film. It follows Hobbs and Shaw working together to get this virus out of Shaw's sister, a virus that will destroy the world. You know, it's a fine enough plot, and we basically have supervillains, like literal supervillains. He is robotic. Like, he gets shut down at the end of the movie. The villain was nothing special. He just felt like a typical robot, really. Hobbs and Shaw's relationship was something that I really respected, because they didn't do the whole, oh, we hate each other through the whole movie. Like, halfway through, they're just rivals at that point. Like, they respect each other and they're rivals. I liked the action in this film. Like I said, it was something unlike we've ever seen in Fast and Furious. It was well put together. The fight scenes didn't just feel like normal punching, you know? Like, yeah, that's what they were, but they just added a bit of finesse to it, you know? I'm kind of ashamed that my favorite Fast and Furious film technically barely counts as a Fast and Furious film, you know, but that's just the way the cookie crumbles. It's a super good and entertaining film. I didn't think it wasn't gonna be, even when I saw the trailers, and at the time I've never seen a Fast and Furious film, I was intrigued with this movie, you know, so take that as you will. But no, it was super good. It's super entertaining, and I'm totally looking forward to the next one. Hobbs and Shaw just work really well with each other, and like I said, it's because they weren't hating each other the whole time. You know, by halfway through, they're just rivals. And I'm interested in how they're going to do the sequel, you know? Now that y'all made it all the way through, throughout the list, you could obviously tell that, you know, being as short as it was and constantly kind of repeating myself, that this series gets super similar. The first 3 movies are about, like, racing and the world of street races, and then the 4th film was kind of its own weird thing, but then past that, it's all just how crazy action movie can we get with cars. And there's nothing wrong with that. They do gradually go into it, you know, normal street racing, then the cops are involved with street racing, then, you know, Tokyo Drift, that's its own thing, and then Fast and Furious 4, it's a murder mystery, and then we got to get God's Eye. No, not God's Eye. That's the sixth one. Then we're doing a bank heist, but it's a crazy bank heist. And then now we got to get God's Eye, and then we're spies, and then we're driving on. It builds up to it, and the whole thing about these films is to get crazier each film. And they totally accomplish that. If you just, with the Fast and Furious films, you just have to turn your mind off and accept the stupid. The reason why I wanted them to go to space so badly in the ninth film, because that's just stupid, dumb fun. It's stupid, dumb fun, and they did it, and I love them for it. A lot of the stuff is done, all the stunts and stuff are done practically, like in the fifth film. It's all done practically. They actually pulled not a real bank, but did that through the streets. That's insane. That's so cool. I totally love the Fast and Furious series. I totally thought going into it that it was just going to be another bunch of boring action films, like, oh, great. Let's go. Here we go. I'm going to be bored the whole time. And I was really only bored, like, 2 of the films, and one of those was the first film, which, it's the first film. The cast, they finally, settled in on a cast, and they keep doing this thing where they kind of add every people, now and then. Now we got, Ramsey, she's a new one. John Cena is definitely going to be the next couple. It's super good. It's a real fun series to get into. Like I said, it's one of those you just have to turn your mind off. A lot of them do start to feel kind of samey, and because there's so many of them, like me, if you sit down and just binge watch them all together, they do mix together well. Like, stuff in the sixth film gets into the seventh film all the time. And that's not really the film's fault. I mean, of course it is, but it's also just because I sat and watched those all together, so that's why you should watch my review wishes where I made those right after watching the film, so they're fresh on the mind. This one is just, if I sat and really thought about what happened to that film, I'll know, it's distinct enough. Regarding the future, we're getting a Hobbs Shaw sequel and a woman-led Fast and Furious film. I'm really looking forward to the Hobbs & Shaw sequel. I'm interested in how they're going to do that. Hopefully it's not just like a retread kind of deal. The woman-led one, just please don't have Cardi B playing a main role. Please don't have Cardi B in it. And then we're getting our last Fast and Furious film. Vin Diesel did come out and say that the 10th film will be the last. It's a 2-parter, though. So in 2023, we're getting part 1. 2024, we're getting part 2. For it, I want them to, of course, go crazier than time travel, but I also want it to be like a real good story. Like I was talking about with the 8th film, I think a part 1 to that story would have been, Dom working for the bad guys, like family against family kind of deal. It would be interesting to see them split up. It would be kind of new, like the family splitting up or whatever. Hard to pull off. They literally brought everybody back in the 9th film, so I'm hoping they're doing that to have everybody in the 10th film. Like, we're bringing them back in the 9th to have them in the 10th. It would have been cooler to see them all brought back in the 10 part 1, done something with 10 part 2, whatever. Predictions. I don't know what to do. Hopes. I hope they do time travel. I'm not kidding. I know time travel would be weird with Paul Walker playing such an integral role to the beginning films, but come on. Imagine if somebody pulls up with a DeLorean. That'd be batshit insane. Time travel would be hilarious. I know what you're saying, Brian, they're not going to do time travel. That's stupid. They went to frickin' space! I don't know. That's just me. I would love to see it. I know it may not happen, but who knows. This series is a series I'm totally looking forward to. I'm happy that I've become a fan of it. Like, honest to God, I've never seen any of these films, so this is a totally new experience for me. At least with other stuff, I'm familiar with it. Stuff like Transformers, stuff like Star Wars, stuff like Spider-Man. I'm mostly familiar with it, but this was totally new for me. I'm kind of upset that I'm coming in at the end, but, totally worth it being able to just binge watch all these movies all the way through. I'll be in the theaters watching all the new ones. Anyways, that's it for the ranked video. Like I said, apologies for if it felt kind of weird, samey, going through all of them. Watch my reviews just to get actual comprehensible reviews. I should be back from my trip tomorrow. That's why I did all these in a row. I'm really hoping this did well in the views. So, if you guys enjoyed, please subscribe if you want. I don't care. And it's all about family. It's all about. I'm trying to think of a way to like end this with it being about family. That's such a funny concept to me. Family. Video over.